So I used to weigh over 370 pounds. At first, I couldn't walk up a flight of stairs without stopping for air. My joints were screaming, my heart was pretty much like on a timer, and I hated looking in the mirror because I didn't even recognize the person staring back at me, right? I was ashamed to leave the house. I wore hoodies in 90-degree heat just to hide. I avoided photos, socials, life, people. Like, it got worse. I stopped seeing a future at one point, and I attempted to take my life twice. It wasn't for attention, but because I genuinely thought the world would be better without me in it. I hated my body, I hated my mind. At the time, all I cared about was survival. I wasn't thinking about, building a business. I wasn't thinking about building systems, and I almost gave up completely. But looking back, this was the first step of what really taught me the importance of structure, of routines, of discipline. Somehow I made a decision, and that decision changed everything, right? So fast forward, today I'm down over 150 pounds, without surgery, without drugs, without shortcut BS. I became a real coach who's helped over 400 people change their bodies, their health, their lives, their identities, their minds. And I've built multiple brands, scaled multiple systems, and architected backends that run gyms and coaching business all over the world. So this is from suicidal to system builder, from 370 pounds to scaling empires. And this is how it happened. So being fat isn't just physical, it's spiritual. It really drains your energy, your confidence, your identity, your life, until you feel like a ghost in your own life. Like, I didn't just struggle with weight, I was buried in it. Every morning I'd wake up already tired, not because I had a long day, but because I didn't even want to face it. I would drag myself to the bathroom, look in the mirror, and immediately look away because I hated what I saw. And I hated what I felt. And no matter how much I tried to hide it, everyone saw it too. But here's the thing that nobody needed to bully me. I was doing that to myself 24/7. I told myself I was disgusting, undeserving, hopeless. Every time I put a shirt on, I'd tug it just so you don't see the folds. I'd put my hoodie on in the summer just to disappear, even though I was sweating a lot. But needless to say, I didn't really do sports. I didn't go out unless you count me being the ball. I didn't even want to go to the grocery store most of the time because I not have the energy, but I couldn't really handle the way people would stare at me. I felt like a walking punchline. I mean, the purple hair didn't really help, but I felt like someone who wasn't even worth noticing, And I remember once being invited to a pool party. I said I was sick, but let's be real, I just lied. The truth is I sat in my room and I cried because I couldn't imagine showing up shirtless. I would have rather just melted into the floor than let anyone see me like that, So it wasn't just the way I looked. I was very breathless walking up a flight of stairs, and I had sweat pools just from sitting still, trying to fit into booths at restaurants or public transit or, the seatbelt extender. I couldn't squeeze into a lot of seats without embarrassment. And so then every room I walked into, I was already scanning for where I'd fit or how I'd hide or how I'd leave, my exit plan. I used to order 2 or 3 full meals and tell the cashier it was just for my family, but it wasn't, and then I'd go home and I'd eat all of it by myself. I'd feel ashamed while eating, but I didn't stop because it was the only thing that actually numbed the noise in my head. So to cope, I would just eat and then sleep and then binge YouTube and video games for 16 hours straight, wake up, repeat. And at one point, I was spending $5,000 a month, not on business, not on growth. It's actually crazy to think about, but literally I'm poisoning myself, right? And then eventually that voice in my head started to win. Why are you still here? Are you never going to change? You're just wasting space. And unfortunately, I believed it, right? I didn't really want to be alive anymore. And I tried to make that happen more than once, not because I was crying for help, but because I genuinely believed the world would be better without me in it. And when people talk about hitting rock bottom, I wasn't just there. I literally started decorating like Patrick from SpongeBob. I made it feel like home. You don't motivate your way out of that place. All right. You don't listen to a podcast and suddenly love yourself. You just survive until something or anything shifts. And for me, that shift didn't come from the form of some Hallmark magic movie moment. It came from a moment of silence, sitting in my room in the dark, realizing I had 2 choices: give up and destroy myself completely, or change and give it one last shot. So this change didn't come from a Tony Robbins video or some hype reel, some new year, new me bullshit. All right. It came from just silence of me in my room, staring at the ceiling after another really large binge, physically full, but mentally emptying. And I remember thinking, if I keep doing this, I won't be here in a year. Because my doctor said I'd be dead by 24, and I was 17, because I couldn't breathe, I couldn't walk, I couldn't feel. And I finally got sick of being sick and tired, not motivated, just done. So I told my dad, not with some big crazy speech, I was just honestly, dude, I can't do this anymore. I want to change, but I don't know how. And I didn't ask him to fix me. I didn't expect him to care. I mean, granted, he's my dad, but I just need to say it out loud, put it out into the atmosphere. And what he did next kind of changed everything. So he went online, he typed in in Google, in-home personal trainer. He came, and someone came literally the next day. I didn't know until he knocked at the front door. His name was Atish, and he was the first real coach that I ever worked with. He wasn't a gym bro. He wasn't a hype man. He wasn't someone trying to slap a PDF on my life and call it a plan. He was a real fucking coach. Someone who actually gave a shit. Someone who understood what I was actually up against, mentally, physically, and emotionally. He didn't just give me workouts. He didn't just hand me 10 plated chicken, rice, and broccoli. He listened. He watched. He adapted. He trained me in my basement on a basically broken bench with a cheap pair of dumbbells from Amazon and a body that wanted to quit every 10 seconds. But he didn't just train my body. He trained my mindset. He trained my identity. And for the first time in my life, I felt seen. He saw someone worth coaching, even when I couldn't, even when I wanted to give up. We trained train like 5 times a week in that basement. And at first I could barely do a push-up. I could barely fucking breathe. I couldn't move right, but he never judged me. He just kept showing up. So I kept showing up. And then I made like the first investment of my life. I bought dumbbells for $600, and that was all the money I had pretty much. And that moment really mattered, because for the first time, I wasn't just spending money to escape or poison myself. I was spending money to actually evolve. Now, obviously, like, that weight didn't just come off overnight, right? It came off in layers of excuses, of shame, of identity. Some weeks I lost weight, some weeks I didn't. Some days I felt amazing, some days I didn't, and most days I still felt like that same fat kid trying not to quit. But I kept going, one workout at a time, one meal at a time, one I hate this rep at a time. And the craziest part that it started to work, the scale started to drop and it started to move easier, and I started to think clear. And for the first time in my life, I actually had momentum. Now, I wasn't just losing weight anymore. Like, I was trying to become someone else, not fake, not perfect, just free. So I actually started treating weight loss like a full-time job, because at the time I didn't have a career, I didn't have school, I didn't have confidence. What I did have was a lot of time. And I decided to spend most of that time, instead of wasting it, like, invest it. I trained, I learned, I followed the plan, even when I didn't feel like it, especially when I didn't feel like it. Like, come on. I went from barely moving to biking to the gym at 4:30 in the morning, and then spending 3 hours lifting, showering, eating, and then heading straight to culinary school for 12 hours straight, come home at 11 p.m. and do it the next day. So this wasn't motivation. This wasn't a one at a day time quotes on Pinterest. This was a system: sleeping, lifting, nutrition, discipline. I was building a structure for the first time in my life ever. And then over the next 12 months, boom, confetti. I lost 100 pounds. I built muscle, I built the structure, and I built self-respect, something that I never had in my life before. And this wasn't done with fads. This wasn't done with surgery. This wasn't done with hype. This was done with systems. My identity changed. And with it, everything else changed too, because I didn't feel broken anymore. I didn't feel invisible. I didn't feel like this giant victim. What I didn't realize that it wasn't just about losing weight. It was rebuilding my identity. And then later, this exact same shift from chaos to clarity, from hope to systems, is what I used to help gym owners take control of their businesses. So then came the next turning point, which is culinary school. I love baking. It was one of the only things I was good at. I mean, it didn't really help with the weight loss, but whatever. But something felt off. When everybody else was getting excited about pastries and baking and breads, I was thinking about macros and systems and SOPs and about change. I was surrounded by food. I didn't really eat much of it. But what I wanted was transformation. I wanted to help people do what I had done before, which was like lose fat, rewire their life, and feel powerful for the first time ever. So that realization hit me hard. I didn't want to just bake. I wanted to help people. And that was the true shift. I knew, like, this is my purpose. This is like the work I'm meant to do. I went from too broken to fixed to helping others do exactly what I did. And that's what I became: a coach. Not a trainer, Lord knows, not an influencer, but a real coach. Someone who doesn't just help people lose weight, but someone who builds them who they were always meant to be. Now, really quick, if my story so far resonates with you, just stick with me. The next chapters are going to show where things start to snowball, and you'll see exactly how this transformation eventually led to me building systems that changed not just my life, but entire businesses, and made over 7 figures. So once I changed my life, people started noticing, how did you do it? What's the secret? What program are you on? And I didn't give them a PDF. I gave them the truth. The truth is, there is no secret. There is no willpower. It's not about willpower. It's not about hype. It's about building structure, building systems that people could actually stick to, no matter how broken they feel. And since then, I've helped over 400 people lose anywhere between like 20 and 150 pounds. People like me, depressed, overwhelmed, disconnected, people who have tried everything and felt like nothing worked. People who were like one bad week away from giving up completely. I didn't just give them BS meal plans. I gave them systems like proper sleep, training, nutrition, psychology, habit rewiring. We attacked the real problems, not just like what they were eating, but why they were eating it, what triggered it, how, when, and who they were becoming in the process. This isn't about six packs. This isn't about a beach body season. This is about saving people's lives before they fall off the cliff like I almost did. One client was over 350 pounds when he found me. Another had chronic back pain that he couldn't run in years. Another didn't think she'd be alive to see her daughter graduate. And now they're lifting, they're smiling, they're living, not because of me, but because of some of the systems that I built with them. I just gave them the tools. They used that to climb out of the hole just like I did. And the truth is, that's like the most addictive part to all of this. Not just helping someone drop weight, but helping them become unrecognizable mentally, physically, emotionally. So when people ask me like what the hardest part of all this was, it wasn't losing weight. It wasn't hitting rock bottom. It was success with no structure. Because obviously like coaching started to take off, more clients, more transformations, more messages saying you saved my life. But with that success came a new kind of weight. The way to doing everything by myself, which was check-ins, programming, nutrition, adjustments, calls, admin, marketing, whatever. I was working 100 hours a week. I was glued to my phone. I would walk my dog on client calls, my calendar, my CRM, my DMs, my burnout. And even though I was changing lives, I was drowning. I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't recovering. I constantly was chasing client needs, constantly stuck in the weeds. And that's when I realized I hit my second turning point. If I keep operating like this, I won't just burn out, I'm gonna disappear. And not only that, like even worse, I'm gonna cap my impact. If I stop and everything depends on me, it dies when I stop. So I stepped back and I zoomed out and I asked, how could I help more people by like helping coaches and gym scale? Or what if I did that? What if I took everything I learned from transforming lives and my businesses and started transforming businesses too? Because I didn't just want to coach better. I wanted to engineer systems that made scale inevitable. So I started building, not for fitness, not for Instagram clout, but for infrastructure. And that's when everything changed. So after I burnt out, I realized I didn't need better boundaries. I needed better infrastructure because like the truth is most people don't fail from lack of passion. They fail from lack of systems. So I stopped chasing the next check-in and I stopped trying to duct tape everything on my back end with Canva hacks and Notion templates. I started building systems that I wish I had when I was drowning, you know? The problem was there was no real playbook when I started, just guesswork, random YouTube tactics that didn't really scale or weren't practical or were like complete BS, you know, coaches burning out, gyms full of churn, clients slipping through the cracks. So what I built didn't exist, which is a unified system. And that's when I created Ardent GSI systems, a full stack operating systems for gyms and coaching companies. Not random hacks, not scattered tools, but one umbrella, one infrastructure, every piece you need to scale. So the core of Ardent, it has everything under the same umbrellas. We'll go over it in a little bit in depth. We have the SOPs, we have sales, we have KPIs, we have automations, right? So this is Ardent. It's not a course, it's a full stack. Has sales, ops, retention, plug and play, built in the trenches, tested across gyms and coaching brands. I actually started with CoachStack. And then that transitioned to Ardent, which CoachStack started as a DFY incubator for coaches, and then the foundation kind of evolved into Ardent. So every lesson, tool, playbook is now rolled up into one unified system, right? So Power Pipeline, this just does a lot of the automation for you. It auto books calls, closes, eliminates manual mistakes, wasted leads that don't fall through the cracks, you know, predictable, scalable. I could go on and on. I'll have more videos about this. AI Smart Setter and Close Command. So Smart Setter is AI inbound and outbound dialer and DM engine. It talks to leads for you, books calls, and keeps prospects warm, and also doesn't get them to slip through the cracks. Closure Command is a closing agent. It helps train your staff. It also helps train you. It helps literally everything with handling objections. It could also be run live on calls. They remove human error, and they scale systems while you sleep. That's the whole goal. We all want to make money while we sleep. Playbooks, these are built in the trenches, tested across a bunch of different industries, companies, etc. There's not a lot of fluff. It's just plug and play frameworks. You scale clean without a lot of burnout. So this has Smart Setter and Closure Command. It handles objections and closes deals. It books follow-ups and nurtures your leads. We have KPI dashboards that track accountability, performance, pipelines, every stat you would ever want. We have a full SOP library for onboardings, delivery, retention, churn. We have marketing scripts for DM calls, follow-ups that actually convert. We have automated check-ins through Power Pipe. That's the CRM triggers and logic that remove the owner from the bottleneck. We have team training. We have frameworks that make delegation not just possible, but profitable. Originally, I had a bunch of different companies. PTSI was the full stack for gyms. CoachStack was the incubator. Power Pipeline was the engine. For a while, I thought I had to stay separate, right? But the truth is, they were already a part of the same thing, the same umbrella, the same philosophy. I didn't need three brands. You know, I needed one flag. That's why I now rebranded and rebuilt Ardent GSI systems. Not random tools, not scattered projects, but one operating systems for growth. The infrastructure I wish I had back when I was burning out. These weren't just ideas. These were built, these were deployed, these were field tested, first for me, then for others, coaches, then gyms, and now teams. They could scale cleanly instead of burning out like I did. And that's when I realized, like, these aren't brands. Okay, these are weapons. These are tools that I wish I had when I was stuck one-on-one with the overload, with drowning in churn, buried in back-end messages and messes. Because most people want to scale, but they just don't have structure. And that's what I built, and that's what I give. So whether you're a solo coach trying to break past 5K a month or a gym owner with a 6+ person team and a zero backend, I plug in all the infrastructure that makes growth inevitable. This isn't theory. It's not another motivational pep talk. Okay, it's built, it's tested, it works. And I'm not going to just coach you to hustle harder. I engineer your backend so your business finally runs without you. One framework, one engine, one system designed to making scaling inevitable. I personally built Ardent to stop owners from burning out. But the truth is, it never was only about the money or freedom. It was about legacy, the ripple effect, like what happens with or when the one system touches thousands of lives, right? Because at this point, it's not about fat loss. It's about business. It's about impact. And it's about why all of this exists in the first place. That ripple effect doesn't just stop at gyms. I really want to help 1 million lives transform. And it's not like random numbers. These are actually like measurable. Because one coach can help change 100 people. One gym can help hundreds more, right? One system installed creates a ripple effect that outlives me. Because every time one of them wins, hundreds more are affected. Better health, better habits, better future. And then when the time is right, I want to launch the Puffy Prodigy Foundation, which is built for kids with ASD who deserve systems, support, and structure that I never really had growing up. Because impact isn't just about scaling businesses; it's about building infrastructure that change at every single level. So again, the mission is really simple: 1,000,000 lives, not directly, but through secondhand. Because I'll be doing it through the gyms we scale, the systems we deploy, the coaches we empower, and that's a result that we can create every single day. It's not some fake number; it's real math. One coach, 100 lives. One gym, thousands. And then it's a system that outlives me, because every time one of them wins, hundreds more are effective, which has better health, better habits, and better future. And then I'm gonna do it through the gyms we scale, the systems I've built, the coaches we empower, through the lives that we're transforming right now, right? Through the systems that I've deployed, and through the systems that they will create, they will use every single day. And those people will go on to change. This ripple effect, that's the real mission. The foundation for help with ASD, for the helping 1,000,000 plus lives. The ASD for the people who deserve the systems, the support, the structure that I never had growing up, for kids who feel lost, unheard, underestimated. I was one of them. I'm building something for them now, so they don't have to wait till they're drowning to find help. I don't want to just help people lose weight. I want to help people and kids. I was the ones who feel lost, unheard, underestimated, because I know what it's like to feel like that. I know how the world forgets about you and how you feel, and I'm going to really try my best to make sure those kids are seen. It isn't for me anymore about fitness. It's about legacy. I don't really care about going viral. I don't care about that. I care about being unforgettable to the people who need this, and make sure that they never forget what they're capable. For me, I'm just getting started. That's the mission. That's the North Star. That's where ideally all this is headed. 1,000,000 lives changed, So if you made it this far, thank you. Not just for watching, but for caring, for listening to my story, for witnessing the evolution, for being part of this. Whether you're 370 pounds right now, like I was, and you feel like it's over, or, you're a coach grinding 16 hours a day, or a gym owner who knows they're meant for more but doesn't have the systems to scale. I built all of this for you because I was you. And if you're ready to take the next step, I'm going to give you something super special that I've poured a lot into. It's called the Setting System Blueprint. It's a fully documented, battle-tested playbook we've used to generate millions in revenues for gyms and coaching brands. You get 100% for free. There's no cash, there's no fancy funnel, no fluff. I mean, if you want to book a call, there'll be the option for that, but it's just tools that actually work. So hit the link in the description, download it, or if you want it directly from me, DM me on Instagram with the word systems and I'll send it your way. And before you go, hit subscribe, because every week I will break down the exact systems that we're installing inside gyms and coaches, companies. This channel is where you'll learn how to build a business that runs without you. This is the start of something bigger than me now, bigger than fitness, bigger than any one transformation that I've done myself. This is about building lives at scale. And if you're serious about building yours, let's do it together. I'm Adam, aka Puffy, and this is now Ardent GSI Systems. We're just getting started.